Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the stream. Huge news coming out of Apex Legends today. We saw the release of the trailer for season 5. Huge video. A lot of stuff to break down there, and that's actually what I want to do on this stream right now. So if you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook, welcome. I appreciate you guys taking the time to check this out and hang out with me. Get to see what's going on right now. We are getting ready for season 5 to drop pretty soon. So we do want to take advantage of the little time that we have before season 5 does drop on May 12th and see what's coming. We're excited. It's always pretty exciting when Apex drops a new season, because they come out with typically a new character, maybe new weapons, whatnot. It is a big event for sure if you're an Apex fan. And so we saw that last week. Loba was introduced, and today again they dropped that trailer for season 5. I wanted to do the breakdown of both videos because there's a lot to uncover, and they kind of go hand in hand. I was going to wait for the gameplay trailer, but figured the gameplay is just going to be more of about what's going on with season 5 itself, the changes to the map, things like that. Even though there is some hints at what's going on here, but for the most part, it's going to be gameplay rather than lore. And I wanted to focus on Loba, what we know about her, what we don't know about her, and what this season potentially means for Loba and who she is and how she's going to interact with the rest of the characters. Now, one of the things that I keep hearing the devs say is that season 5 is going to be huge in terms of changes, in terms of interaction between Loba and other characters and other characters amongst themselves. So I think this is the best time to kind of start getting into this space, into lore, and figuring out what's going on. So first thing I want to do is actually get into my browser here, and we're going to watch the videos. We're going to watch each one of these trailers, or we're going to watch first the Stories from the Outlands, The Legacy of a Thief, which is Loba's introduction to the Apex game. So bear with me here one moment.
My world was shattered that day, and my path was now a fog of unknowns. The system tried to erase the tragedy, but some wounds are too deep to ever truly heal. I've always felt it in my blood. I am a thief, and a good one at that. It was the only way I felt true to myself. And those same feelings grew into opportunity. I honed my skills and enhanced my methods. With success came wealth, power, and friendship. I was the best, and everyone knew it. But something was always missing. Until now. There we are. I'm off to bed.
Wait, I found it.
What? What are you talking about?
I found him.
Whoa. Whoa. Huge. Wow. What can we even say about that? like I said, a lot to unpack here, definitely, with Loba and who she is as a character. I actually want to open this up real quick and see if we can kind of skip through this a bit. So they took us back. Very first thing I noticed here is they took us back over to obviously where we left off at the beginning of season 4, which was right after her father got killed. So she witnessed her dad get murdered by Revenant, and it takes us through her process, I guess, right after that. Just so I can clear this up for you guys a little bit here. So it takes us through her process right after that. What we can see here is that she was kind of taken through the system. I guess she was put in with. This seems to be a foster family. I'm assuming that after her father and mother got killed, the system kind of took her, and she mentions that the system tried to make her forget about things. So one of the things that I do know, I'm not heavy with the Titanfall lore or the story itself. I actually never played Titanfall, but I have been investigating it a lot ever since I started playing Apex. And one of the things that I did notice was the fact, or that was talked about obviously, is the fact that the system is the IMC, is in essence what ends up becoming Hammond Robotics. So they put her through the system, foster care, put her with a family. Obviously, the family tried to take care of her, tried to kind of make her forget about that past that she had. But it's a little difficult to do that with a child. Obviously, that's gone through such a traumatic event. So while they might have distracted her from, what happened, ultimately, I feel like she's just gonna revert back to that mindset, that mentality. It's kind of like what she says; it's in her blood. So, really interesting there. We notice that she picks up the bracelet from her foster mother, and you can see her there looking at it. So when they're taking that picture, it's funny. So they're taking the picture, and then you see her looking at the bracelet there. So you can already start seeing that she has those inclinations of thievery and just kind of like following in her parents' footsteps, which is very interesting. I think that's going to ultimately translate into how she plays in the game. But again, you see her just kind of walking out with that bracelet in her hand. And then we see her grown up years later. She is taking keys from this gentleman. We don't know who he is, obviously, but she's in a city, what looks like to be a city. Gets into this safe here. Obviously, master thief. It looks like she's robbing. You can see from the jewelry. I'm assuming that she's robbing like maybe a wealthy person or just someone that collects jewelry or art. She has some sort of mask. I don't think that really has anything to do with her. I'm assuming again because of the fact that it's, she's just a thief. She looks for those highly valuable items or collectible items that she's probably it's just another item to her. But who knows? Maybe they'll incorporate it into the game and make it part of her one of her skins. Let's take a look here. We do see the staff. Fast forwarded too much here. We do see the staff, and you'll kind of notice that it does have that wolf tip. So this is the wolf head that her dad, Marcos Andrade, actually gave her at the beginning of dinner right before Revenant attacked. And it seems like she has a staff with her. It'd be interesting to see if that staff is going to be like her heirloom or what the case is going to be with that staff. I think that'd be pretty cool to see. You know, each character kind of has their heirloom, or they're developing their heirlooms as we go um, throughout the game. Obviously, um, we'd have to wait and see what Loba would get, but she's very agile. She moves like a thief. She moves like a fox, really. I mean, if you look at her, like a sly fox, just in and out of places, jumping off buildings. Like, yeah, just super thief. And so this is the interesting part here. So she, so we see that she's in a Hammond Robotics facility. Authorized personnel only. So obviously she's not authorized to be in there, considering we know her to be a thief, and you don't need to jump into places and be all stealthy if you're an authorized personnel. You can see the lasers from the security system in this room where she's grabbing a bracelet of some sort. Um, she grabs the bracelet out of there, and then we see security comes in, but she opens what seems to be the portal. So this is gonna possibly be one of her. I'm guessing it's probably gonna be an ultimate, um, or her ultimate ability, being able to teleport from place to place, which seems to be what this was here. Uh, see her fighting some people, and then we know now from the conversation that Staycation had with the devs that this is Jamie, and it's some guy that she meets, becomes friends with, and ultimately um, brings into her team. Now, she does say something here that I do want to raise this up again and hear what she says. Give me one second.
Success being wealth, power, and friendship.
So she mentioned something about welcoming friendship. Let's listen to that again. Let me load this real quick.
I honed my skills. And
She
enhanced
honed her
my
skills.
abilities. With success came wealth,
With success came wealth, power,
and friendship.
and friendship. So with her success as a thief, obviously, you're gonna be surrounded by certain people. Uh, you know, a resourceful thief. I mean, and we imagine based off, what, we're ultimately telling a story here, and any story that you tell a thief or anyone that's usually into like the dark world, or into just criminal activity, usually has a lot of connections. So it's typically well connected, or has friends per se. So really interesting to see that there. So she meets Jamie, makes a friend, and we see her here stealing a jewel. She mentions how, let's trace this here a bit and go back, and she had mentioned how something was always missing. One thing that I did, so one of the things that we did see Staycation talk to the devs about was the fact that she is in this. This looks like a party at a museum, um, or some kind of what is it? Give me one second here, guys. Um, Either a museum or some kind of party of sorts, where she is, I guess, interacting with these people, and we do see her walking out with the jewels. The security guard is looking at her. So again, kind of going back to those friends. Usually, when you tell a story of a criminal, or you develop a story of a criminal, they usually have a lot of friends in high places and low places. So you can kind of see that she embodies that. She's hanging out with a pretty elite crowd. She's at this fancy party, but yeah, she's stealing this jewel or this necklace, and the guard is obviously staring at her but doesn't say anything. So just kind of keeping in line with the story of, just being involved in criminal activity, and just being known for that kind of behavior, and interacting with people like that, where she gets to meet, or she gets to be around those elite people that she eventually, I guess, would steal from, and she would steal those valuable items from. So she does say something here. She goes, something was always missing until now. Now, a lot of people have been speculating that it has something to do with the necklace. I don't think it has anything to do with the necklace. And if I remember correctly, with the interview from Staycation, the devs did mention that the necklace had nothing to do with anything. It's just kind of like a segue into the whole
I'm off to bed.
Wait,
Revenant part.
you found it.
What? What are you talking about?
I found him.
So huge. Let's go back here a bit. There we go. So huge revelation here. So Jamie obviously starts working for her. She saved his life, and made friendship with him, and I guess he's pretty tech savvy. So a lot of the teasers that we've been seeing on Apex, we're assuming is coming from Jamie's research into Revenant, and we can even say that this goes back to before this season, like before beginning of season 4. So everything that we were finding was probably Jamie working on it, and kind of just, that information being leaked out there. Now, the theft, everything that was going on, I don't think it was Revenant. I think Revenant went in and killed, like for example, those Hammond Robotic employees. But there were a few thefts, a few items that were stolen, and I think that was actually Loba doing that. So we'd have to take a look and see what actually ended up happening. Hopefully that will be revealed as season 5 progresses and the rest of the seasons do come out, because we do see that there's going to be a lot of lore coming out according to what devs are saying. But you'll notice here that we have Factory 32. So what does that mean? I don't know where Factory 32 is. I'm assuming this is the same factory where Wraith was in, or where Wraith worked. I'm not sure. It could just be actually the factory where Revenant was built. We do see that. I'm guessing this is Marco. Like this is her dad. But there's not much information here. So we do see the contract, and so we see that she is. I like this transition on her. So she's faced with Revenant, and the first thing you see is worry on her face. She's caught off guard by this revelation that Revenant has been found, or that Jamie found Revenant, and then all of a sudden we see that she does get angry. So it's kind of more like a resolve now that we see from her, and I don't think there's anything else at the end of that. So a lot of information, a lot of details as to who Loba is, what she's been doing this whole time. So again, we saw her when they were attacked at the restaurant, when her mother and father were killed. She was laying or she was next to her father's body, her father's bloody body. She had that. She wiped her face. You can see the blood in her eyes, and then we see how, as she, gets put through the system, how she ultimately. So we see the blood in her eyes. She says they tried to erase the tragedy. They put her in a foster care, and then you notice that the blood is now gone. So it's kind of representative. It's symbolic, right? So there's this trauma. They kind of, put her through the system, kind of try to like wash this trauma from her, kind of erase, her memory of it, or or just the experience as a whole. But then you start noticing that the blood does start coming back. So again, she's going back to her roots. They wiped that portion of her, but then you start seeing one eye bloody. I think it's very symbolic of her reaching back or going back to that her inner self, who she really is, which ultimately is the daughter of two very successful thieves. So you start seeing her kind of just connecting back to that image of her as a child, which would be just connecting back to her actual heritage. And I think that's where the name Legacy of the Thief comes from, because it ultimately is her legacy. So we see that. So we see that she now has a one eye bloodied, and I don't think okay. And then when we see her now in Hammond Robotics, you have to be a master thief to be in a situation like this where you're basically stealing from the government. So it kind of shows her progression, I would say. It would show her progression as a thief and kind of just reaching back to those roots, and ultimately, like I said, you kind of just see her resolved, and you see that anger again from the very beginning. So again, that same anger, the same resolve, that same search for answers, all over again. And she kind of just, obviously she's painting herself. This is something that she does to herself. It's not blood, but it's just kind of her going back to those roots and who she is. So very interesting. And then what I want to do now is break down the season 5 trailer. So give me 1 second here. Let's switch over to that. All right. And let's listen in.
Game over, Tin Can.
Caught in the middle of your way. Now your hands are in. Every word you said feels hollow. All of the promises you made, I didn't wash away. Your smoke and mirrors won't change what I know. I know your secrets.
Take her and go.
I know your lies.
Demonio! Go back to hell!
I know your secrets. I know your lies. Leave it
Come to kill me, little girl.
Someday. But for now,
Whoa! Phew. Yeah, so I get so excited with this kind of stuff, man. I really do. Apex is doing a fantastic job, man. I really believe that 100%. Let's go ahead and rewind here real quick, and we'll break this down. So, pretty crazy launch trailer. A little bit different from the rest of the launch trailers, I feel like, so far. And again, it kind of just goes into how Apex has been talking about, or EA Respawn has been talking about, how they are looking at changing a lot of things in season 5 and kind of bringing things together. So really interesting how they even did followed a different route, or went a different route with this trailer. I feel like, I don't know, they gave a lot more detail as to the story, as to what's going on with this one. I don't feel like they did the same thing with the last 4 season trailers. But let's take a look. So ultimately what's going on here, we see there's bombs dropping. So probably Bangalore's or Gibby's. So it's have a nice day. So we see Pathfinder on the floor. Mirage, I guess, was about to try to kill them, but we see Gibby's dome protecting him, and then we go underneath the ground. So we're in Kings Canyon right now. This looked like the area right outside of Skulltown, and we are now underground, and we see Loba's bracelet slide in. So again, we already know Loba has a bracelet that she carries with her. We see it slide in underneath the crack of the door. Very stealthy, and this is probably what took her thievery to the next level. Once she actually got a hold of this made her basically, this gave her access to anything and everything. Because if she can find a way to sneak this little bracelet in, then she's into that room, that door, she's past that door, whatever the case may be. So huge asset for her as a thief, to have that bracelet. So we see the bracelet slides in, teleports her in, and then we get our first glimpse at what seems to be Revenant. So she's kind of taken aback. She has some flashbacks of the restaurant, the attack at the restaurant. So we see Revenant killing people. We see her with her dad again. So we're flashing back to beginning of season 4. We see Marco Andrade on the floor. We see bloodied Loba, and so she has those flashbacks. She comes back too, throws this this flare, and now she's in this facility. We start seeing, first we notice that there's a lot more revenants. So like, are these simulacrums? Are these like, is Revenant just are they all Revenants, or are these different simulacrum? And it's a matter of like every I think it's pilots. So simulacrums, what they are ultimately are pilots that have lost their life, if I'm not wrong, the Titanfall pilots, that are really good at, or they're just, excellent soldiers, or elite soldiers, and they lose their life, and so what they do is they get their consciousness and they upload it to this robot. But ultimately, the simulacrum doesn't know that it is, or the pilot doesn't know that it is a simulacrum. The whole idea is that they mask that from him. So this is again going back to season 4, beginning of season 4, the launch trailer. We see that Revenant is somehow, when he killed Marco Andrade, he got stabbed in the neck by a piece of glass, and we see that that piece of glass started making him glitch out. So when he's looking in front of the glass at this fancy restaurant, obviously kind of like a reflective glass, he sees that his image of himself is glitching out, and then he ends up seeing himself as a simulacrum. So that's when he realizes, that's when he snaps to and realizes, I'm not human, I'm not alive anymore, I'm dead. And this is just ultimately my consciousness. So that's when he kind of came to, and he realized everything that he's been living to up to that point, up to killing Marco Andrade, was pretty much a lie. So I think that's the moment he kind of snapped, and obviously he's going around murdering people. He was an elite assassin for the IMC, and now he's going, or for the Syndicate, and now he's going around murdering people. Because that's what he does, you know. And imagine yourself. You are, you know, let's say you're not an elite assassin, but let's say that, you know, you find out that you're a robot and you're no longer alive. Your consciousness is trapped inside this being. What are you gonna do? You know, but chances are you're probably gonna go crazy. And realistically, that's what happens to him. Except he reverts back to what he knows, which is ultimately his nature, which is to be a serial killer. So, from that, we don't know what happened to Revenant between the restaurant and when he showed up at the Apex games. So we have some hints that there was something going on. There was some interactions about putting him in the games. But keep in mind, Loba was a little girl when her father died, and now she's a grown woman. There's a huge gap in time from when that incident happened to when Revenant started popping up again and entered the Apex games. So there's a lot of information that's missing. So we see here there's a bunch of Revenants in essence. She enters this, raise this here a little bit just so we can hear. So she enters this factory. So I'm guessing this is probably Factory 32, I think it was, that we saw in the last scene, which is, I guess, Jamie showing her, you know, where Revenant is, or where Revenant was being built out, which would be that factory. And now she's continuing from that scene of Jamie showing her Revenant. Now she's in the factory itself, underneath Skulltown, pretty much. So we see her kind of hacking into the computer system. There's a decryptor. She gets access granted. We don't see much. It is a Hammond Robotics facility, so very interesting. We know that Hammond Robotics ultimately was the creator of Revenant. So access granted. You'll see over here a picture of Revenant with some wires coming out. There's a warning, facility selection. There's not much there. We see the Hammond Robotics logo again, and then this thing opens up, and we see this is the face that Revenant was seeing in the mirror before he glitched out. This is the face that we saw at the beginning of the game when he was beginning of the video when he was shaving. This was the face that we were seeing, which is ultimately, this is Revenant's true identity. This is who he really is. So we see here that this thing opens up, and again now she's having flashbacks again to the restaurant. So again, just kind of just confirms that this is again Revenant. You see her anger. She says demonio, which means demon in Spanish or Portuguese. Apparently she's Portuguese, so demonio. So she's calling him a demon. Interesting to look at here. So we see some cables and tubing. These aren't even cables. These are tubes. And there's information, or there's something moving in there. She's gonna go back to hell, and she shoots at him. There's glass, and then we see that triggers a warning. It says Solus Production Facility 217 compromised. So Solus Production, Solus is the planet that we're on right now for the Apex games. Facility 217 compromised. Security measures activated. Transportation. Ooh. They misspelled transportation. Transportation. Transportation in progress. They misspelled transportation. So transportation in progress repeated again here. So we do confirm that Respawn has misspelled and this graphic here for the games. Not a big deal, but pretty funny. I don't know how to pronounce this. Samathi production facility. Is it 819019 powered up? So another facility is a production facility is being, so production facility 217 compromised. Production facility 019 819, it's hard to tell. 819, I think it is, powered up. Stand by to receive transfer complete. So it starts uploading Revenant. So again, this could be his consciousness. This could be his head. Ultimately, this is Revenant's head. So this is the original character. There's original the pilot or the assassin. His head hanging in whatever facility this is, being uploaded to the next production facility. So ultimately, what that tells me again is kind of, and then the devs did verify this today through the conversation they had with Candy, where they did confirm that ultimately this is his consciousness being uploaded and transferred to another facility. So pretty interesting stuff there. Kind of funny. Transportation is misspelled. Get your stuff together, Respawn. No, I'm kidding, man. You guys, they're doing fantastic. A little error like that is not a big deal, but it is pretty funny to see. So let me go back real quick. I want to see something. Okay, I just wanted to see if this was open here already, or if it was opened. So it was already opened. So we see that she shoots at the glass. That triggers a defense system to activate, and then the head is physically transported out of this facility, which is insane. This is some pretty advanced technology, where the whole system that was holding him, and this is some glass, some kind of tubing where it's preserving him, just kind of seals up and then just disappears. Like, beam me up, Scotty. And then we see that this opened up. I just want to see if this opened up here. So yeah, so I guess there was a glass door there that just opened up, and then we see I don't know what these sentinels, I think they're called, I'm not sure. So they activate, they go grab their guns, and then this one tries to grab his gun, on R301 we see here, and it gets pulled away by Loba and her staff. So let's go back here. And just look at the way the staff opens up. Wow, this is fantastic. So look at the way this opens up. There's some kind of, I guess, force that's pulling the R301, but it turns it ultimately into like light. Does it get turned into light? Is it still a material, or is it just a force that kind of wraps around it and pulls it, kind of like a magnetic field? It seems like it's still the gun itself. Like the gun didn't dematerialize. It's still fully it still looks like it's intact. It's just being pulled by this light. And you see the wolf. Look at the wolf. This is the wolf that her dad gave to her right before he was killed. She takes the R301, starts shooting at them. She's a pretty good shot, drops the gun, and uses her staff. So super agile, huge thing here. We're gonna see that she's probably gonna be a very mobile character. She's gonna be very agile. Devs did say that this agility of hers, this ability to be able to, basically, she's gonna be a melee character. They did say that that's all gonna kind of be incorporated into who she is in the game. But very interesting to see that. I'm hoping to see that when the season does drop, May 12th. But pretty interesting the way she uses that staff. She's very powerful. They definitely dedicated a lot of time to this character, and it shows. She's fantastic. Honestly, the story behind this character is fantastic. So she drops down to, I don't know what these are, some kind of barrels, maybe some kind of tanks, and robots go down after her. She drops a sticky bomb, maybe some C4, blows that up, and that triggers an enormous explosion. And then you can see, look at, oh my god, these are all the revenants. These are all the different revenants. So again, they were talking about how Revenant is immortal, and you can see why. His consciousness just gets uploaded to every single one of these robots every time. So the developers did mention that there was only one Revenant at a time. So Revenant is in one simulacrum at a time. So ultimately what happens is you destroy him, he just goes into another body, which is insane. So we see her trying to escape out of the destruction. The earth starts opening up. She gets pulled, taken off the edge of that walkway there. And then we see, again, the earth just kind of split open. And I'm guessing this is the skull. This is the bones, the remains in Skull Town. Kind of just drowning in there. And then she comes back using her teleportation. And then look at that. All the legends are just hanging out there, like seeing what's going on. You see Watson just chilling, being her playful self as always. Bangalore is like, what the hell is going on here? Wraith, Octane. You got Bloodhound here and Caustic. And then there comes Revenant. And he asks her, huge. So let's play that back again. Come to kill me, little girl. She says someday. And then look at the analysis. So here, so he says, come to kill me, little girl. So automatically a Revenant knows who she is, right? So it shows here on the left side target. It shows her as a child. It shows her name. Shows daughter of Marcos Andrade. Eliminated. Last seen on Olympus. Has a warning. It's super hard to tell what's going on there. There's some more information there about her. But Revenant has locked into her, knows exactly who she is, knows why she is there. He's very well aware of why she is there. He asks her, come to kill me, little girl. Still very, very condescending. He killed her parents in front of her and still very condescending towards her. She's a grown woman talking about, come to kill me, little girl. And just kind of shows. I actually love Revenant as a character. I really think the devs did a fantastic job with Revenant, his voice lines, just everything that is Revenant is absolute genius in my opinion. He makes me laugh every single time. It's honestly, I just find it hilarious. But we see here that he kind of just completely condescends her, asks her, with his, slick remarks, his just very toxic way of being. Come to kill me, little girl. She replies, someday, but for now. And then she shoots. So obviously, we know now, or this confirms now, that she has no way to actually kill him. Nobody really does. He's the immortal legend, and the reason for that being is because he's just constantly switching bodies. So, very interesting to see that unfold. We're gonna see that unfold in season 5, and again, the devs are saying a lot of stuff is gonna happen in season 5. It's gonna bring a lot of stuff together. It's gonna kind of start tying in characters, and we're gonna start seeing a lot of like relationships between characters. And again, what's something that's very interesting to see, and that was touched upon on Stay's interview with the devs, was the relationship between Loba and Revenant when they're on the same team. Now, do bear in mind, at the end of the day, Apex Legends is a team sport, and there will be times where they are going to be in a team together because people are going to select them, especially in the beginning. A lot of people are still going to be playing Revenant. I wouldn't be surprised to see squads like Wraith, Revenant, Loba. I wouldn't be surprised to see squads like Revenant, Loba, and Pathfinder. Do expect those, especially since they buffed Revenant. I think there's been a lot of push lately towards the big guys, the thick boys, Caustic and Gibby. But ultimately, I think with the new season coming out, we're gonna see a lot of those Revenant, Loba teams, and I actually want to see a lot of this, see how that plays out. There has to be some kind of interaction, and the devs did kind of hint towards something actually happening with those two, that ultimately would trigger some kind of response or some kind of something to happen between them, if they are on the same team, or even if they're fighting against each other. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of stuff coming. I can think of so many things that they can put into the game. So many quotes from the characters when they kill each other, the way they interact. It's pretty interesting. I'm really looking forward to this season. But let me know what you think, guys. I'm actually going to go ahead and close this down. It will be live on YouTube and Facebook. If you guys follow me there, you'll be able to see this over again. If you are watching it after the stream, I appreciate you guys checking out the video and kind of following me on this journey as we wait for season 5 of Apex Legends. I hope you liked the video. I hope you liked this breakdown. This is my interpretation of what happened here, with a little bit of information from here and there. Guys, if you liked it, please give this video a thumbs up. It does help me out, help me grow my channel, and it lets me know that you appreciate content like this, and lets me know that I can continue making content like this. I do have an idea to go back all the way back to Titanfall and kind of start breaking down lore and getting deeper into lore. For the most part, I will continue on gameplay, but please do let me know if you like this. I also would appreciate it if you subscribe and check out some of the other videos that I have on this channel. I will be uploading more and more in the near future, especially once season 5 does start. So yeah, just hit that subscribe button if you do like it. My social media is at the bottom if you do want to follow me there. And I appreciate you checking out this video, and I hope you have yourself a blessed one. See you guys.